Our thoughts.
Oh, our thoughts.
Our thoughts make us well or ill. And some of you know Gurudev's story on that. He was asked to speak at a university amongst doctors. And the first thing he did is, you know, that we're talking about all kind of medicines, etc. And he said, I would like you to look at the word I-L-L. You'll see it in your mind? I-L-L. Ill, right? And he said, take the I and the double L, you'll get ill. And then he said, look at the word well. W-E-L-L. Take the we and the L's and you'll be well. Now, don't you think that was clever? But he was very good. You knew him when he was alive. He was so brilliant with words. He would change everything around. And that's exactly what he said. When our minds are full of I, you can never be happy. You cannot. The Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2, verse 72 and 71, he says so clearly, the mind that is full of desires and full of eyes, because desires are I need, I want, if I have this, I will be happy. I know if I have, I told you the story last week, you know, about this couple sitting down, and the man said, you know, we have love, but one day I'm going to work so hard, and then we will be rich. And the woman answered, we are already rich, and maybe someday we may have money. So we always seem to miss the truth. There's another story about a fisherman. He's nicely sitting, smoking his pipe, and a businessman comes across. He said, what an idiot you are. And the fisherman goes, why? Why are you calling me an idiot? He said, you could be making so much money. Why? He says, I've fished enough today. I feed my family. I have enough. I'm happy. No, because that's not enough. If you go out and you go fishing all the time, can you imagine? You can collect 10 times more fish and you can be so rich. And then one day you can be really happy. And the fisherman looked at him and says, oh, I got it already. I got it already. And that's what eyes do to us. We think the desires, we think that we are going to be happy if something should happen. So we lose out on the moments of we at this moment. Who am I with? What am I with? What is the situation? How can we work together? Instead of I, you become well. Because if you notice, and I really, really would like you to do this exercise when you get home, do it for a week. Because it took me a long time. Maybe you guys are faster. It took me a long time. Yes, I understood this, and I read this in the book, and I read it in the Gita, you know. But it took me a long time to really understand, by watching my mind, that every time I was miserable, still today, it's, oh, I have so much to do. Most stress comes, right? I comes in. Oh no, but it's service. Oh, relax again. You know, when you're talking about the I have to do this, I have to do this, you know, and I see this lots in relationships, and lots of people come and see me when they've broken down relationships, and most of the problem is, I want this and you don't provide this, and I hear this I, and from the other partner, they're saying the same thing, both of them, and I want this and you cannot provide this, and I go, oh my God, you're both the same. Thank God you're together. What do you mean? We're very different, they tell me. I said, listen to what you're saying. You both want, so you're driving each other crazy. Why don't you start saying, what can we do together? What can we share together? This is my desire. This is your desire. Well, what can we do to make it complete? How can we work together? What is the solution? Instead of saying I, and then we don't communicate because we argue and we fight, why don't you sit down and talk? And maybe you don't agree, but really you're both asking for something. You know, a few months ago, I got a couple that came to see me, and they were going to split. And I could feel, in their case, they had a lot of love for each other. They had a lot, you can feel the energy when people do, and they just miscommunication. So I said to them, do you love each other? I said, yes, we do, but we don't know if we can live together. And then the wife tells me, but my husband never communicates, he never talks to me, and he's actually sitting like this. So I go, you don't talk to her? Why don't you communicate with her? It's not my character. I don't want to communicate. It's not my character to communicate. She should know I love her. And then she goes, you see what I mean? And so I say to him, she should know what you mean, but she doesn't. She's telling you. She is telling you, spelling it out for you. She needs you to tell her. So why won't you communicate? Because it's not your character. What if I tell you that it's so easy to do? And he looks at me. I said, please unfold your arms, so he did. And I said, do you love her? He says, I love her very much. I said, now don't look at me, look at her eyes. And you tell her, facing her, I love you very much. And he really did. And then she started crying. And I said, how easy was that? And he goes, yeah, but here, because you are here, it's easy to do. I said, but you just met me. It's nothing to do with me. So I said, what happened just there? You were doing it, not because of you. I had asked you to do it to make her happy. But what happened? You did it, and you made her happy. How did it make you feel? And he said, you know, I didn't know she loved me. She cried. She cried when I said that. And then I asked her. I said, okay, now he's told you, well, we can talk about this more, and we'll discuss it more. So I go, and you know, how many times do you tell him that you love him? And then he goes, she never tells me. And I couldn't stop laughing. And I said, what? I said, how can you complain about him not telling you when you never tell him? So it's not my character. You know, and I said, do you see what you're both doing? You're doing the same to each other. You're just not hearing it. Did you hear it? And then they both said yes. And then they both held hands. And I said, remember, if you just think, it's not my character, or I, this is causing an illness in your relationship. But if you could think, what could we do to make our home happier? What can I do to make you laugh? Sometimes you need to think like that. You're both extremely selfish. And has it helped you? Has it helped you? And of course, both said no. So I said, what do you have to change? You tell me not to be so selfish. Not to think about so much about what you want. Because if you're in a relationship, you have to also think about what somebody else wants. So the we, if you can think we, the family can be well. If you just think you cannot be well. And you know, when people tell me, oh, I love this person, they should know, I think it's a real cop-out, don't you? Because real love is in the actions. It's not just, also, many people I know say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I go, what do you do? What are you doing to show that love? It's very easy to come home, throw your things on the bed, put your feet up, turn on the TV. But what are you doing to share that? What are you doing to share or to show somebody that you care? What are you doing for that person? Everybody can talk. So, you know, I love yoga for this fact that it's about self-transformation. We cannot change everyone, but we can certainly change ourselves. And the only time and the only way we will change ourselves if we know deep inside that it is really for the higher good of all. If we try to change ourselves just to please ourselves, you will find, like, let's say, I want this. The more you get trapped, the more you want. It's never enough. When you start to feed yourself, you will find that. That's why when people are selfish, they become very lonely people. They become very lonely people. Look at the most lonely people. Are the people who are selfish. And if you look at people who are unselfish, they have loads of people around them. And you know, we need people. People need people to be well. I mean, people of like-minded thought. You don't need people for the sake of people, but people feed people because we're the same species. And when you have like-minded thought, you build the energy of the spirit and the place we are in. And what is spirit? I mean, if you really understand the word spirit, then you must know. This is why studying is so, I mean, not studying, but experiencing is so important. Sorry about that door. The spirit just walked in. Thank you. People keep opening. You'll have to close it quite hard. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, it's the wind. It's really windy today. If you understand what all these scriptures try to tell us, that we are light, that we are spirit, that we are energy. And I always say...
Sorry, I was getting you a blanket.
No, it's okay. It's cold. Does anybody else want blankets? I know.
I don't know the heaters on, but it's so cold.
It's cold
It's
today.
cold today.
It is cold today.
Thank
You
you.
know, oh, no. And you know, like all the spirits said, I always say this is our container. You all can see your container. Do you know you are living in a container? So then you really must experience the fact, and this is why meditation is so important, because it takes you a little away from this container, which is the body, and makes you see. You can watch your own thoughts, and sometimes even see yourself from a distance. So you can separate yourself a little bit from the illusion that you think is you. And then, what happens when you do that? Then you know, just as you are energy, so is everybody energy. So at one point, when we lose our individual bodies, we can merge. We can all merge. Just like space, it merges one into the other. It merges. And when we really merge and live in this one spirit zone, is when all our energies are equal. When we're all one. When we are separate in thought and deed, when we leave the spirit world, the heavier energies, when we go to the spirit world, the heavy energies will stay with like attracts like. And the higher energies will go towards the higher energy. And the more higher your energy is, what happens? The lighter you are, the more you will become one. For example, Gurudev always used this as an example. Ice, solid, yeah? All of you see it clearly? Block of ice. You melt it, what happens? What happens?
It becomes water.
Becomes water. You take heat, Kapalabhati, the heat. you take heat, and what happens? It becomes steam. And after a while, steam becomes one with all. So if you go back to where we started, we were one, and then we became material. This is why when we think we get well. If we think I, we get ill. So nobody makes us ill or well. It comes from our own minds and our own thoughts. It comes from, as Gurudev says very clearly in the Sutras of Sri Patanjali, from selfish or selfless thoughts. You all know that. And how much pain when you really, really want something that is physical or somebody to change, or how much pain is in that, isn't it? You really suffer a lot of pain. But when you accept that person for who they are, and then you think, I have to make the change, it's not easy, but it's much easier than expecting somebody else to change. It is much easier because you are taking responsibility for your own life and your own freedom and your own joy. You are not giving that away to somebody who at its whim will change it for you. So this is why it is really always, always, always important, yes, to look after you, the individual, but what you are looking after is your thought patterns, the way you think, the way you see things. And you watch how you can drag yourself down. And life does do this to us. I mean, life, there are days when you feel so good, and then weeks when you feel so bad, that everything you've learned, you think, where did it go to? Where did it disappear to? Where did I disappear to? I knew this once, I know it not. Sri Patanjali tells us this is very normal, slipping from ground game. What you have to do is be really smarter than your mind, and this is where the power of the spirit takes over. This is where your knowledge takes over. Oh, this is the state of my mind now. I've fallen from ground game. I've lost what I thought I gained. I know where I am. Accept it. No need to get depressed. Yes, I'm already feeling low. No need to encourage that. Let it pass. And how do you let it pass? By simply knowing it will. Just like you know, after the night comes the day. You know. Is there any doubt in that? There's no doubt. You know that when you get up tomorrow, it'll be morning. It might be raining, it might be sunny, it'll be morning. You go to bed, it'll be night. You know. So this is the same way you have to know. I'm going through a rough ride. Don't indulge in it. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Because the poor me syndrome is the I syndrome, the victim syndrome. It will make you ill. It will make you ill. It will make you, and I see it again and again and again. I've seen and now I've been teaching for nearly over 20 years. And I've known people for over 20 years. And I've seen them take these troughs. I've seen many, many people go down and they bring themselves up. That is what the knowledge is for. And if you should sink so low, understand at that point, okay, I'm really in a bad state. I'm really feeling awful. But it's not me, it's my mind. This is not who I am. My mind is working on me and it's taken over. So let it play for 1 or 2 days, and I've got to, in the meantime, what do? You know what is a very good practice? In my early days, and I haven't mentioned this to you for a long time because I only found an old diary that I had. It's what you called Likita Japa. Likita Japa is, you write your mantra. For example, Om Namah Shivaya. It's like writing lines when you're in school. Any of you had to write lines in school? Yeah. So, you know what I mean. So, in the early days, I did a lot of Likita Japa. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And really, I could see from that practice, it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot because writing really helps. Another practice is always keep a spiritual diary, where you can watch the way your mind is thinking. Now, I had somebody who was always troubled by her mind, and she came to see me about a year ago. Still there, but she's so much less troubled because she started to write. She actually did it. She's one of the patients, and I said, take a diary and write how you're feeling. And notice that every time you're miserable, it's the I want somebody to change, which was her partner. She was madly in love with him, but she wanted him to change. What can you do? You have this thing in your heart, and it's really hard to get rid of it when people are so fixated. I want you to change, I want you to change. They really suffer. And I go, you can never change your partner, but you can watch your thoughts. So she writes, and she comes to me, and she goes, look, the moment I think, oh, why has he come home and not, and he's not smiling, already I'm angry with him. I am angry. Instead of asking him, she writes, why have you had a bad day? She's already angry. And that sets the mood. So when she was writing this, she could see that the cause of the trouble was not him, but both. But both. So for the first time in her life, which was 25 or 26 years married, she took responsibility in her life. And in 1 year, the relationship has changed. Just by writing down the diary. Just by keeping a spiritual diary, watching herself. And of course, when she makes the changes, the other person, it can be either way. If the man makes the changes, the woman will follow. If the woman makes the changes, the man will follow. May take time, doesn't happen overnight. Nothing does. Let me just tell you this. There are no quick fixes. You got it? Unless you really want to quick fix yourself. And then you can. Sri Patanjali tells you, to the keen and intent practitioner, this samadhi comes very quickly. It doesn't even say quickly, it says very quickly. So really, it's up to you. It really is up to you. How quick do you want to be peaceful and free? The goal in yoga is to feel free while living in the body. It's too late when we die. And we cannot be free if I need, all this needing from anything or anybody will make you ill, one way or the other. So what do you have to do? What is the big word here? Acceptance. And if you can't accept, and you can't accept, and you can't accept, then let go. Then just let go. You're not going to spend 50 years beating each other up. Nobody benefits. Nobody benefits. So you have to. And then you go, I can't stay, I can't go. Which is a problem I get with any kind of relation, mother, child, da da da. And then I go, well, if you can't stay and you can't go, you have only one choice. You have no choice but to accept the things you cannot change. There's no other choice. Otherwise you'll be completely miserable. How do you accept the things you cannot change? By knowing how much you love that thing. That's why you're still there. If you didn't love, you wouldn't still be there. So focus on the love instead of the change. Don't try to change anything. Bring love in as the medicine. Otherwise you cannot do it. You just can't do it. If you don't bring love into the equation, nothing can be healed. So what you have to bring in is start to notice all the things you love. And if you can't see it in the other person, develop it in yourself, develop it in your work. Start to be more independent in your work. Don't depend on everybody to make you happy. Depend on your own creativity, your own life. That's all you've been given. You come alone and you will die alone. So depend on that inner voice. Depend on that voice that talks to you. And that voice is kind, understanding, forgiving. So if you depend on that voice, as you think, what will happen? You become. Because that voice is the universal voice. You know, simply, as you sow, you reap. As I keep saying, my father says over and over and over again, complain that you're not getting love, if you're not giving it, you won't get it. If you don't smile at people, don't expect them to smile at you. One student came to me, she said, oh, you know, my mother died, and nobody called me, nobody cared. I said, that's not true. This person called you, that person called you. Well, there's only 2 or 3. I said, that's pretty lucky. I said, tell me, did you know that this student lost a brother? Did you know that student lost a father? Did you know that one lost a mother? Have you called any of them? She shut up. See this expectation, everybody should be comforting me. What about you comforting these people? So I said, if you want people to love you, you really have to love them. You see, it's not a lonely thing. It's a we thing. In order to love, there must be something to love, right? It's a we thing. And if you can make the we thing in yourself, that's the highest practice. My spirit and I, we are working together. Why? Because what is the nature of that spirit? Truth, come on, you know, knowledge,
bliss, absolute.
So if you work with that and make it we, then what happens? Something goes wrong. The plan is perfect. Something goes right, don't get too excited. The plan is perfect. Don't take all the praise, don't take all the blame. It's we did it together. So I made a mistake. But I've been working with the divine, so it must be a divine mistake. I have joy. I'm working with the divine, so it must be divine joy. You're working with the divine, but how do you work with the divine? By constantly being in touch with the divine or the universe. How do you keep constantly in touch with the universe? Because life takes you everywhere. And this is why we do mantra japa. That's why we chant. Because while you're chanting, all of you, Om Namah Shivaya, the thoughts are coming and going, but you're chanting. So the thoughts kind of grip you deep in your spirit. So the Om Namah Shivaya is covering you, like bathing you, like a protection shield. So even though the thoughts are coming, it's like a buffer. It's like a buffer. It stops it from getting into your soul and taking over you. Because this is the danger of thoughts. When it becomes, when you get so involved in a, oh, I'm not happy mode, you're devoured. Aren't you devoured? Every person I have seen that's into the eye, I think that they're swallowed by this depression, by this misery, by this victimhood. I go, why do you want to do it to yourself? I said, for me, this is hell on earth. I watch you and I see hell. Why do you choose hell when you can have heaven? Why? And it's all that. And this is why the training and the practice is so important. I've been counseling somebody in depression now for 2 months. She's been really low. And her character before has been just always bright and shining and beautiful. I mean, beautiful. Like her entire life changed, everything, you know, as life has it. So she's gotten a really deep depression. So, and I, you know, been seeing her and I go, why aren't you getting better? You know the rules. You should be getting better. And just the other day she admitted, I'm not doing any of the practices. Well, you know what you have to do. And I gave her the easiest practice of all. Do japa, which is mantra, and walk. You can't do hatha yoga. You can't meditate. You can't do anything. But you can walk. Go for long walks by the beach. You can walk in the countryside. That everybody can do. No matter how depressed you are. You can walk by the sea. Go walk. You can walk. What's stopping you? Laziness. And it's such a simple practice. I haven't done it once. It was the first time the person admitted it, so when you admit it is when you change. So there is always a way, but sometimes we get so stuck in the eye that we get so depressed, we stay stuck. We literally stay stuck. Never give up on yourself, okay? Never give up on yourself. And know very clearly to the one who is thinking, I, me, mine, there is no peace. Doesn't mean you don't look after yourself. Absolutely not. You are. You're looking after yourself by having nice thoughts. When you have nice thoughts, you have a nice life. How simple is that? That's the truth. It is that simple. But nobody wants to think it's that simple. If you just have loving thoughts all day long, nothing can get you down. No one can bring you down because your thoughts are full of love. It's perfect. God's plan is perfect. Yes, I'm feeling a bit yicky. My human mind is feeling not comfortable because the human being doesn't like this. But feel that this is my learning. This is for my growth. This is why I'm suffering. One day, after suffering like this, I won't want to suffer anymore. So the next time suffering comes, I'll go, no big deal, I'll find a solution. And we've had a really, really, really good example the last few weeks with what our beloved Turtle here has been going through. They want to break down her house with, and you know, no just means. It's just a really ridiculous case. And she was a little down the week before, really down. And I can tell you, Trevor was so worried about you. And he called me and said, I have never seen Turtle like this. One day she was sad. The next day she was back to life. And she goes, I'm not fighting because I care whether my house comes down or not. I really don't care. What I'm fighting for is the injustice. You see, there is a reason. There's a big cause. Maybe her fight can help many people. And thank you, Ole, for volunteering to sit at her place and have a tea party. Look, positive solutions.
Yes.
Bring 80 people. Have
Yes,
a
I
party.
said I'm coming.
Me
Let's
too.
have a
Yeah,
tea.
we'll all go and
Yeah.
support her. We said, can you believe that? None of her neighbors have to take down what they built except for her. It's really unfair. It's something really wrong. And Louise, thank you for you know, renting her house and the sponsorship on top of it. But do you see? It's almost like the moment you stop getting depressed. Oh, it took you 24 hours. Not
Oh,
even that.
No, yeah.
Not
no.
even that.
Because I had a long walk and long meditation.
But you see, she did what she
I did
did.
10 kilometers that next morning.
Good for you. You know the cure. Fantastic. And this is where the knowledge is so brilliant. But knowledge is only good if you use it.
Otherwise you lose it.
Correct. And even the scriptures say, even the Upanishads say, all the scriptures say, reading this scripture is not good enough. You know, what is the point of studying all about Japan and loving it and you've never been there? And I learned this when I had a dog. I love animals, I wasn't crazy about them, but I could not speak from the point of view of somebody who owned an animal until I owned it. And now I understand Shanti, because I used to tell, why do you have to go home? Your dog is old now, you have to go home. Why do you want another dog? Now I'm like, oh Gaia, is she okay? And as soon as I come home, I look at her and I go, you see, you have to have one to experience it. Just like you have to meditate to understand it. You have to feel your soul and spirit before you want to stay there and enjoy that happiness and not lose it for anyone or anything in the world. You really start to make peace your God because it feels so good. Why would you want anything else? Why? You ask yourself this question. You're not asking the world now. Forget about the world. You ask yourself, why would not I want the best for me all the time? Am I foolish? Am I foolish? So what do you do with your human behavior? What do you do with your human tantrums? What do you do with those moments of desires? You have fun with them. If it's not causing harm to anyone and making you feel better to let some hot air out, do it. Do you know it's no problem? You want to do something naughty once in a while? Do it so long as you keep those rules. No harm to anyone, some benefit to someone, yourself included. Don't be a little naughty. Don't you see children? They're naughty, they have fun, you know, but we think spirituality has to look a certain way. Oh, I'm so good. What a lot of nonsense. That's lying, you know. We are lying, more lying. Who are we lying to? Oh, I read a really nice thing the other day. Anthony de Mello, I've been reading his book on stories. He writes some incredible stuff. He talks a lot about non-attachment. And he said, oh, there's these friends. And he said, oh my God, Jesus, would you like to come to a football game with us? There are two teams, the Christian Crusaders and the Protestant Punchers. So Jesus goes, I've never been to a football game. I'd love to come with you. So they sit in the pew, and suddenly the Crusaders get the first goal, and Jesus is cheering, throws his hat up. And then the next goal is the Protestant, and they go, and Jesus is cheering and throws his head up. And the man behind goes, excuse me, who are you backing? And Jesus looks behind, who am I backing? I'm not backing anyone. I'm just here to enjoy the game. And the man turns around and says, you must be an atheist. I read the story, it's such a good laugh. I said, isn't that the truth, you know? So we're not here to take sides, we're just here to watch the game and enjoy the game. And this is why I love your solution of the peace thing. When they come to bring a prize, let's have a tea party. Well, they want to break down our house, you see. Let's enjoy the game. Good or bad, we don't know why all this is happening. It is happening. Her attitude has brought Ole to call her up and say, I'm going to back you up. Brought me to. And I hope a lot of people on that day will just sit there having a tea party and laughing. And hopefully the newspapers will do something about it. And if they don't, we've just had a nice tea party together. Do you see? Because we also cannot say what the outcome will be. We don't know. Good or bad, we will never know. Sometimes outcomes are bad, and then 10 years down the road you realize it was actually good. Sometimes you will never get answers for outcomes of things. You will never get answers. Don't spend the rest of your life hankering, I need an answer for this, because sometimes you will never get answers. Because there's so much that we don't know. We really don't know. And some things we will never know until we lose our body. Because why? Because we're encased in a container. The container can only learn so much. Yes, we can get a lot more, communicate a lot more when we are in touch with the other world. But that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do because it can get you a little crazy. Are you there? Are you here? Where are you? So this is why you have to be very strong, very well grounded. Because if you are not grounded, you can feel, lost in both worlds, the spiritual world and the physical. You're neither here, you're neither there, and then you get confused. But I like this. Why can't I have it? You can have everything you like. In fact, that's what the scriptures say. You should have everything you want. What stops us from getting everything that we are destined to have is we put the stress in it and we stop the progress. It's like you put it's like a reservoir. Sri Patanjali tells us in book 4 of the Yoga Sutras. He said it's like a farmland where you have, the water things to close off, and when it's time for irrigation, what happens? You take the lever, you open the gates, and the water comes in and floods and waters all the plants, and when you don't need water, the gates go down. And this is the energy is always there for us. We just need to know how to use it when we need to open the gates and when we need to close the gates down. And that's the only way you can learn that is by practicing the yamas and niyamas, which gives you your grounding, not to get lost, because otherwise you'll get very mixed up. Wanting anything is not a problem. Ownership, possessing, feeling that without it, your story last week, I loved it. I hope you don't mind, I told it on Wednesday, but without mentioning your name, because it was such a nice story, Sarah. It was such a perfect story, and I said the way you told it, without the attachment to yourself, no ego, was so brilliant. Because if you can see it, you can change it. And the fact that you were not arrogant with it, or embarrassed by it, or pretending to be something you're not, but just totally honest, makes it very beautiful. So thank you for sharing that last week. It was really quite enlightening for me. So, so when you're open about yourself and you're not fearful, then everything starts to happen for you. You can see that happen in people's lives, you know. Maybe you don't expect something to happen this way, but it'll come another way. You never know. You never know where the good will come from. And sometimes, most of the time, is from where you least expect it. Why? Because you least expect it. Because you don't expect things happen. But when you expect, guess what? You stop. You take control. I am controlling the situation. I am controlling. Yes, you have to participate in solutions. But you cannot determine the solution. That is control. You participate in the solution and you hope it works. But if it doesn't work, another one and another one. You know, it amazes me when I hear music. Music has been alive for how many billions of years, right? And every week we hear new #1 or, you know, new songs into the charts. Wow, how many songs can be created, and how many different tunes and how many different, it's quite something, isn't it? Every time I hear a new song that I like, I think, wow, it's abundant, isn't it? It's abundant. The universe is abundant. Creativity is abundant. It's abundant. The artist that you see, you think everything has been painted and done, and then we got something new again, a new style. Wow, the universe is abundant. And that's what we need to work with, the we of the universe, the we with the connection within. But we cannot work with the connection within if this is an interference, it's too strong. The I factor. And then when that's too strong, you will feel ill. You will feel tired. Your energy will drop. I mean, what's the first thing that Trevor told me when he spoke on the phone? I never seen her so low. And she looks so tired. Because that's what happens when you give up, isn't it? That's how you feel. You actually feel, ugh. And if you're not careful to pick yourself up, you go into depression. So when you see that when people practice, it works, it inspires you to work more in that way. So if you can't do the we for people around you, do the we with the divine inside of you. And when you work with the we inside, you will find it outside everywhere. And that's why all the great saints and sages said, if you know the microcosm, you will know the macrocosm. And if you look at all these great people who discovered many theories, Stephen Hawking, you know, whatever, what did they do? Where did it come from? Their minds. And then they shared it with the world. But where did it come from? an intent mind, a beautiful mind. And sometimes these people have to have really difficult bodies. Have you noticed? Many of them, many of these people Beethoven couldn't see, they have to have like some kind of difficulty to take them a little out, I think. The brain can connect with the other world. Because they're not.
Stevie Wonder, he could have an operation to bring back his sight, and he
Yeah.
said he didn't want it.
Really?
Because
I
he
didn't
thought-
know that.
He thought it would stop his songwriting and his music, and it's like, well, then if I can see, it's like, go.
I didn't know that. That is wonderful to know. He declined it. Interesting. You know, they kind of go a little out there. You have to be a little sometimes out there. So if you see an eccentric person, please don't judge them. You never knew why their bodies chose to be like that. Because maybe if they were normal, they couldn't get that. Nobody would accept it from somebody who looks quite normal. You're a little eccentric is good. So I love eccentric people. I love old people actually. I think the world is full of fun. It is full of variety, which is so interesting. And I think it's wonderful that everybody is so different. Everybody is so different. And for me, this is the most exciting creation. This God is in everyone because everyone is so different. And I am convinced there is, there is no God without us, and there's no us without God. For example, there was this, was he Jewish? A Jewish priest who used to pray, "Dear God, dear God, dear God, without me you wouldn't exist. And without you I wouldn't be praying." Do you see? There has to be two in order to have some kind of repertoire, some kind of movement. So, and that is the truth. And this is why when you have your conversations with the higher one, the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, it is of a different nature, and you can feel it. You can feel the energy in your body speed up. Now, let's say you don't believe in a higher a power, but I think most people believe in kind of force, a force within themselves. For those who are atheist, it's fine, because when you experience that force working through you, you're very energized. There's something in you that just feels so good, so well. You can feel the flow. Any of you felt that flow? Wow, how did that happen? Wow, something's really working through me. How many of you felt that? Yeah, something's really working through me. And once you feel that, whoa, then you love it. It's so delicious. You take, and you allow that to take responsibility for your life. That's difficult to get to. It takes many years of practice. Some people are born with it. Some people are born, from past lives. They have certain gifts. And sometimes just by hearing, and I've seen people like that in my life, just by hearing some kind of spiritual talk, they remember lots of things. I've met many young people these days, 16, 15, 14, 13, very young, your own Thomas, Amilou, they seem to know. They seem to know so much. And then you understand that they have come to these parents. They have come to these parents because they have work to do and they have the knowledge. And they're actually much smarter than we will ever be if we nurture that in them, if we love that in them, if we allow them to develop that in them, their connection, and we don't stop their connection. Because in our generation, a lot of us were stopped. We were told you have to believe this. Or you have to believe this, take sides like Jesus in the game, I like his name for the teams. Was it Catholic Crusaders and Protestant Punches? It was interesting. If you can get Anthony de Mello, read him. He really is quite interesting. Like lots of stories on non-attachment. He really criticized a lot, but not really criticized. You know, he said that all these people, all these priests and holy men who try to be holier than thou, really lost the gist of spirit. What is spirit is to be so natural with who you are and what you are. So natural with who you are. Like children are so natural with who they are. They're so natural till we try to change them. We have to guide them, yes. We have to teach them certain rules of the universe, which are the yamas and niyamas, because these are the universal rules. As you sow, you will reap. And trust those universal rules. But instead, it's all about money and gain. We teach them that, then it will be all about money and gain. And you know, yes, we all need money. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful entity. I think everybody, I always say all yogis should be millionaires because they will share it with everyone. But will they? Will they? I've seen many people, again in the last 20 years, get it. And do they share it? They walk away. It makes me laugh. Will they share their time? No, because now they have a lot of money to enjoy their lives, which is great. But share something? No, it's all for themselves. I have seen that too. I've seen that too. Because again, the attachment comes. The attachment for things comes. It's difficult. It's really not an easy world. And this is why all the great masters tell us it is really walking the spiritual path is like walking a razor's edge. So why do we want to do it? Why do we want to walk that razor's edge?
Can't turn around anymore.
Correct. Perfect answer. You can't turn around anymore. Not possible. There is something. Do you feel that who is pushing you? There is something pushing you. A force that's pushing you forward. You can't turn around, even if you want to. Because the actions of your good deeds will push you forward, whether you like it or not. Your desire to know the truth will push you forward. Even if you no longer want to, you will be pushed. The actions, your own actions, will take you there. This is why the I thought is so important, and the we thought is so important. And here we are for a very short time. So what do we do with our lives? What can we do with our lives? The only thing that would make some sense is to leave the world slightly better if we can. If we can. It's the only thing that will mean something or have any imprint on Mother Nature. Otherwise, there's no use for our lives. Each one. And I love the way Gurudev explains this because this to me is so important. Each one of us is useful. Each one of us has a role to play. He tells the story of the watch. In those days, all the watches were with little wheels, right? Do you remember? Any of you remember the old watches? Some of you too young. Nowadays, all digital. Put a battery in the back, right? Small thing like that. But in the old days, if you open a watch, there's like so many different wheels in the watch. So many. And so anyway, the big wheel said to the little wheel in the watch, "Look at me, I'm so grand. And it is because of me this watch works so well." So the little one, who was so teeny and so tiny, thought, well, I guess I'm of no use in this watch if I'm so little. So decides to stop. The little wheel stops, the whole watch stops. So never think you're too little to make a difference. Every cog is necessary in that wheel to make it work. And I often tell this story, but you know, this is when I really experienced this. I really experienced this we thing when this happened, and after that, I think I really lost the I, Nalanie, did anything. Was when I was in Hong Kong, and I'll repeat that story because it's so important. I was in Hong Kong giving a talk. There was about 120 people there. And then after the talk, this young lady came to me and she said, I need to thank you, I need to thank you. Thank you for saving my life. And I'm thinking, I'm sure I've never met her before. And I looked at her and I go, but do I know you? And then she goes, no, you don't. I go, phew, not a bad memory. And she said, but you saved my life. But I said, how could I have saved your life? And then she said, well, I received a tape. In those days were CDs. We didn't have DVD. We didn't have, those days were cassettes, yeah. And she said, somebody sent me your cassette. I listened to it. And after listening to it, I decided I wasn't going to kill myself. I wasn't going to take my life. I would try to make myself well. And I've been listening to the cassette every day, and I will never kill myself. And so I thought, wow, but how did you get that cassette? A friend of hers knew another friend who knew my niece, who called Shanti in Gibraltar in those days. I was living in Gibraltar, who told Sumati, who was an American girl who was at our center at that time, who did all the taping. And Sumati taped when I just spoke. Sumati taped, sent it to Shanti, Shanti sent it to Minal, Minal sent it to 3 friends, and that girl got it. If one person wasn't there, her life would not have been saved. And that was my great realization of the great jobs that you guys do. It really makes me think, oh my God, it wasn't me, it was we. Because I had no knowledge of it. I didn't even know about it. Nobody told me I'm sending this cassette to this girl. I had no idea. They didn't want to bother me. So look, so without each of those people, her life wouldn't have been saved. And I told my niece Minal that after that. She said, Auntie Nell, thank you, thank you. My friend said her friend, and her friend said, she got one. I said, look, without you, she wouldn't have, so thank you. And thank Shanti, and thank Sumati, and thank this one, and thank that one. We're all part of the wheel. And that's how life works. And that's how, when you work with the we inside of you, you work with the we outside of the world. When you understand the microcosm, you really get moved on the macrocosm. It's not that you do anything, it uses you. It does it for you. Everything is done, we are used constantly if we allow ourselves for service. Because nature does that. It uses its tools. When it allows, the tools allow it to use it. If we don't allow it, we're so blocked up by, oh, this is my way and this is the only way, it will go, okay, do what you like. That's your freedom. You want to be miserable, do it your way, get stuck, do it your way. But if you allow yourself to be used by making yourself a clean instrument, keeping that mind clean, then you will be used. You don't have to even think. Phone calls will come, things will happen, people will call you. You know? So, and again, thanks to you, you don't know what you did, do you? Because I said last week that the course was full and I was not taking any more people. And you said, how are you telling me you are stopping my evolutionary process? And nobody's ever said that to me before. So I called Namrata in Gibraltar. I said, no more fall. She said, but now we're up to the numbers. And it doesn't matter. Take everybody in. And it's thanks to you that we've taken more in, but many have also dropped out. And so you see, it's balanced. And they've only dropped out this week, illness, somebody else's child is ill, somebody else's husband is not well, the weather, right? So,
So we achieved the perfect harmony.
yes, the perfect.
See,
And the perfect numbers, there'll be about 42.
that's where we were last month.
Oh, were we? Oh, it went up to 50 something, by the way. It went up to 50 something. No, so do you see what I'm saying? But if she hadn't said it, I wouldn't have let those few people on the waiting list who were really eager to join, and they didn't have a space. But she gave them the space by making that statement. And I told Shanti right away, I said, Shanti, I'm calling them Rata. It's like God speaking to me. It's because I never say no.
She
I
never
never
says
say
no.
no to
She had a couple of no's, she never says
yeah,
no.
I don't say
First
no.
time.
But I said, it's too many people. How am I going to look after them all? How am I going to give them time? And I go, okay. After she said that, I said, God, if you wish, I will find a way to look after everyone. You know, I'll find a way. And that's how it works. So I got thank you, but I have to thank you. Do you see? Sometimes it's like that. So each one is so important. And I've talked about you quite a few times in Gibraltar at our committee meeting and everything.
Yeah.
So, Nalanie, what happened to you? And so, you see, you never know when you're going to be used as a tool or an instrument, but if it is for the highest good will make sure that your wish is their command. When you're thinking in terms of evolutionary progress, for the betterment of my mind, or because when our minds are better, we are in more communication with the we in us. So this is the whole thing. So that brings us to the end of my talk. So I want to ask if you have any questions. It's still 15 minutes. But
Just flew time today.
it's been a long time since we've had you, but it's so good to see you. It is. You know, these guys have done so much for the beginnings of CIS, the beginnings of this Sangha from the very early days. You know, I was telling the committee in Gibraltar, without Ole and Kim, a lot of things would not have been done.
Found the members.
Yes, yes. You remember her too.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be here without them.
He started he helped us with our website. You know, the whole CIS, the charity, is thanks to Ole's hard work and on the computer. And you know, Ole, I will tell you something that happened the other day. Again, talking about the I and we, the cogs in the wheel, so incredible. Recently, I said to Shanti, there's so many DVDs on YouTube. Why do you want to film? People are going to be sick and tired of working so hard. Leave it. Just don't film anymore and don't put anything on. There's so much on. Okay, first of all, I get an email. Shanti copies me. Shanti, why is there and no more on? Oh, Nalanie has decided there is no more on. She's from England. Sandhya.
Yes, I did, yeah.
So she said, okay, she's arranged to send her MP3 plays. Then there's another 5 people that email me. Nalanie, what is that? There are many talks. Yeah, but I like to listen every week. Okay. I said, no, it doesn't matter. You know, people ask, but maybe they don't really want. They just like to be kind. Anyway, last Wednesday, or 2 Wednesdays ago, I was chock-a-block with appointments. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock talk. And I had to go to the bank before that, and I had to be in Gibraltar at 8:30. So I thought, oh, whoa, I'm going to have a crazy day. I'm not going to even have a chance to, you know, many days I don't even have a chance in Gibraltar to go to the ladies' room. So, and she has to not remember, you have to go to the ladies' room. It is like this on Wednesdays, right? So, I go in 12 o'clock, ready for my day, full of strength. And then I go in and this guy goes, I never met him before my first appointment. So I tell him, bring him to my office. And he said, thank you very much, Nalanie. And I go, I haven't even started the appointment. Why are you thanking me? I said, your friend wrote to me. He says, yes, no, I want to tell you why I'm thanking you. So he told me 3 months ago, I had a really bad depression, da-da. And then I went to the doctor, gave me more pills, but I'm not better, I got worse. And this 2 weeks ago, I was at my worst. That's when I called my friend and he suggested I see you. And thank you for making this appointment, because it was supposed to be my lunch hour. I said, thank you for seeing me on your lunch hour, but I can give it back to you. I go, what do you mean? He said, look at me. I started to withdraw. I started to slowly withdraw the drugs from my system. But I said, why are you thanking me for this? I had nothing to do with it. It's the first time I meet you. And he goes, well, I turned on you too. And I heard your talk something about tomorrow or new beginnings, something like that. And I listened to it, and I listened to it, and I listened to it. And it's everything I believe and have forgotten. He said, I got so wrapped up in my work, my job. He said, by nature I'm an artist. By nature I love creativity. I've dropped all the creativity, and you know, I've even forgotten my wife, my children. I've become into this being that I don't know who I am anymore. No wonder I got depressed. And then he quoted to me all the things I said in the talk, which I didn't even remember. Then I had half an hour free. The appointment only took 20 minutes. And I was, yes, 40 minutes. What do I do with 40 minutes, you know? Well, there was plenty to do. Yes. But what I'm trying to say is, again, the cog in the wheel. You know, this is just from my own life, and I'm sure you all take a look at your life. Somewhere or other, you've been really important for somebody else. You've been really important. And when have you been your highest importance? When it's to do with service. That's the interesting answer. When it's to do with service. So interesting. Discover it for yourself. See it for yourself. And when you see it for yourself, you realize service is really service to yourself. It's extremely selfish. And you will also realize why service gives you that. You will realize that. Because you're in the we factor. Service is in the we factor. You know, I always give the example. You know, Shanti, come here. Do you mind? Just use her. Her hands are dry, and I take some cream, and I massage her hands. Whose hands am I massaging back?
Yours.
So, you know, when I was doing this, I think it was 2 years ago, somebody had really dry hands, a visitor who came here. I said, let me massage your hands, it's really dry. And my hands were really dry, but I never thought of it. Just didn't bother me. So, and as I was massaging afterwards, I thought, oh, my hands feel really nice. And that person was thanking me and thanking me, go, hey, no. Hey, no, I would have never done that. And that feels really good. You know, it's nice to feel it so soft and nice. And it is like that. It is really like that with everything we do. When we share it, it becomes so much, we don't even realize that we're benefiting ourselves, because our minds become so dark, so full of I, that we no longer see these magical moments. We lose them. We lose them. They pass and they've been, and you haven't even enjoyed it. It's not going to come back again, those special moments. They're never going to come back again. So this is why it's so important to be in the now, to be able to experience that we together. It's really good to experience it. And this is why all the great ones tell us to learn to live in this very moment. The mind's always thinking about the past or always worrying for the future. Do neither. No, everything is perfect. And live this moment perfectly. Again, Bhagavad Gita, perfection in action is yoga. Perfection in action is yoga. And you can only perfect the action if the action is filled with love. Okay? So thank you all very much. And can I ask our lovely team of singers to finish with Om Namah Shivaya?
Yes.
Yes, will you start? And I will join you because I've been speaking to
No,
you.
I'm
So,
hearing you.
let it, you guys do it, or I won't join you, because I've been speaking a lot. And the rest of you, you can join. Will you do the harmony? Please join them. So close your eyes.
Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Hari Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Om Namah
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all darkness. Victory to that light. Jai Shri Satguru Satchidananda Ji Maharaj. Jai everybody. Thank you. Jai. Thank you.